Welcome to the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society. Welcome to ITSP Magazine. You're listening to a new The Changemaking podcast with Chloé Messdaghi. Each episode will introduce an area of technology that needs work and highlight the changemakers working on it. Join Chloé and guests as they tap into their passion about equity and rights for all. Knowledge is power, now more than ever.
Welcome to another episode of the Changemaking podcast with ITSP Magazine. My name is Chloé Messdaghi, and I am your host today. And today I am joined by Mary Chaney, who is the chairwoman, CEO, and president of Minorities in Cybersecurity, also known as MiC. Mary, welcome.
Thank you, Chloé. I'm glad to be here.
So let's first dive into it. I want to know the story behind MiC, how it was formed. So if you could share a little bit about your experience in building it and the mission, I would love to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. And to start with MiC is to start with Mary. And we're going to go back to the very beginning. I'm an IT geek by training. So my undergraduate degree is in information systems. So engineer by training that went to law school. So I went to law school and became a licensed attorney before going into the FBI, where I was a special agent for the FBI and I investigated cybercrime for them. And in addition to that, I was also their information security officer. And that's when everything started to come together for me when in this field called information security, where, I had the tech background with the legal background and the law enforcement investigations experience. And it really was a fascinating place for me to be. And after, unfortunately, I was playing around with and running out in LA and catching criminals for about 6 years before I transitioned out. And then I had 4 years there. I had started my first business. So I'm an entrepreneur as well. And during that 4-year time frame post FBI, I also became a professor at the University of Cincinnati, which is something I still do to this day. And once I joke and I laugh, but I'm completely serious when I say entrepreneurs, we tend to run out of money. And I ran out of money the first time. And so I went into corporate America. And that's where my background, my history and MiC begins, because I became a public speaker. And oftentimes after these speaking events, I would have women and people of color, men of color, women of color come up to me after these events, after hearing me speak, and, really want me to be their mentor. And they were looking for people that looked like them, that were at higher levels of this profession called information security. So I came out of the FBI. When I went into corporate, I started as the director level. And so going out from, I guess that was, I'm not, I can date myself. I guess this goes back into 2012, right? So from 2012 to 2019 to the start of MiC, I had amassed maybe upwards of 30 to 35 mentees. And what we did during our monthly conversations, we would talk about the challenges that they were facing in this profession. And many times the challenges were not technical skill related. They were challenges with unconscious bias. They were challenges with being ignored, not having, having to deal with racism and sexism and all of those isms in the corporate environment, corporate academia, any workplace, right? So back in 2019, I founded Minorities in Cybersecurity with them in mind, and essentially wanted to create an organization that would help them have a community of folks that they can go to and talk to when they need it, and also provide training and leadership opportunities and job opportunities and things of that nature, where they can go to different organizations that were committed to developing minority and women talent. So I founded MiC back in 2019. We were headed to a conference in 2020. And of course, we all know what happened in 2020. COVID happened and everything kind of went awry from there. 2020 was a wash, really, to be honest. I was doing some back-end stuff, creating some development, creating some programs. And just to give you an understanding of the way Minorities in Cybersecurity is structured, we are a membership organization, and we have several different groups. So we have our MiC Aspirers. Then the Aspirers groups are those that are graduating from college or looking to get into cybersecurity, transition into the cybersecurity space. We have our MiC Builders, those that are in their first cybersecurity role and looking to build out their subject matter expertise. We have our MiC Communicators, and those are individuals with 5 or more years of experience looking to get into a senior leadership role or people leadership type of role. And then we have our MiC Directors, those that are looking to get to the executive level. And so our programming is designed to meet each of those individuals at their level. And so that's what we're doing. So I'll stop there because I can keep going, Chloe. I know I'm not giving you a chance to ask questions.
Oh no, Mary. I mean, you're on the roll. You're taking you got this. So I know that you have so many different initiatives for MiC, and one of them is the MiC Lead program. And I would love to hear more about that. I know it's in June, correct?
Yes. So we have the leadership development program, which we call LEAD, and we have MiC Lead programs, and we'll be developing MiC Lead programs for each of our groups. Now, the Aspirers, Builders, Communicators, and Directors. The current MiC Lead class begins in June, and it's a 6-month training program. It's a 6-month program every other Saturday where we take leaders through what I call corporate survival skills. And I just don't like the term soft skills, because I think that in order to be successful in cybersecurity as women and minorities, that we need to understand, or we need to develop much more than our technical acumen in this space. So we take them through courses like, defining your own leadership style, how to identify other leadership styles, even how to put together some type of cybersecurity related program and metrics and things like that. So we take them through the things that they need to know to transition from an individual contributor to a people leader.
I absolutely love what you said about soft skills on that front. I feel like everyone's always like, soft skills, it's not technical. I'm like, but you can't connect dots. You cannot progress in your career unless you learn those skills. It's so needed. Mm-hmm. So, and I know that MiC also has a conference in Dallas, Texas, and I think the next one's in 2023. How can people, tell us about the conference. How can people get involved, and what is the mission of this conference?
Yeah, absolutely. So we were going to have our inaugural conference in 2020, and of course, I told you that went awry. And so we are just now coming out of a situation, from my level of comfort with COVID, that we're planning for our 2023 conference, which will be the spring of 2023. We are going to have content based on our levels, our groups, the Aspirers, Builders, Communicators, Directors, and we're also going to have a job fair. So I think that the registration should start in June. We should start announcing the save the dates. There's some back-end stuff that we have to do. If you've ever tried to put together a conference, you know that there's a lot of stuff that goes on the back end. And so we're trying to get all of that set so we can send out a save the date for it. You can sign up for our email newsletters. You can follow us on socials. We'll definitely be advertising once we have those dates solidified. So it would encourage anybody and everybody to, if they're looking to get into the type of programming that we're doing, and those the conversations themselves are going to be real conversations, not going to be similar conversations that you may have at other conferences. We really are focused in on building leaders in this space.
Absolutely love it. And so how can people become members? What is the criteria to be a member?
Well, MiC is a membership, a paid membership organization. We have membership starting at the aspires level or the college level. Students are, I don't know, Lord, let me see. I haven't looked at it in a while. Students, I think, are $49 a year. And then you have nonprofit and government folks. And then we have professional members, which are the bulk of our members, which ends up being about $249 a year. And then we have our corporate membership is our contributor level. When they're corporations, they get 3 members, or they get to send 3 of their employees through it. And then you have 3, 5, and 10, depending upon the level of sponsor or membership that corporation chooses. But we have a lot of corporations that use our membership to post jobs, because we do have a job board. And if nothing else, I think your listeners should go out and sign up for our newsletters and for our emails, because then that's where we send our job alerts. We have our corporate members that post jobs regularly, monthly, and for specifically for cybersecurity. And unlike most, these are usually, my corporate members are usually folks that I have a personal relationship with, so I can vouch for their dedication in their commitment to minority and women talent.
Excellent. And so how can companies support MiC?
Well, in multiple ways. So we have, of course, our membership, and corporations can become corporate members. We also have the ability to donate. You can go on the website and hit the donate now button. But we also have sponsorship opportunities within the MiC Lead programs themselves, and also with our conference. So the MiC Lead aspirers, so the content that we're developing, MiC Lead aspirers, MiC Lead builders, MiC Lead communicators, MiC Lead directors, each of those can have sponsors. Like, for instance, the communicators course, we only take 15 students in those courses. And that's the one that starts in January and June. And Bloomberg is a sponsor. So there is no cost to the folks that are accepted in those programs, because Bloomberg is sponsoring that group. So those we have sponsorship opportunities for those leadership programs. And I've talked to several organizations about sponsoring of the individual other MiC Lead programs.
Well, then now I have the next question, which is basically around, what do you hope for the future for MiC in the next 1 year to 2 years and then to 5 years?
Well, MiC's mission is clear. We want to be the #1 training organization or leadership development organization for minorities and women in cybersecurity. So, the mission is very, very clear in what we want to do, based on experience, based on conversations, based on mentorship and things of that nature. So I think the next 1 to 2 years, we're going to get really clear about our content and have these programs, these lead programs take off. And then as we continue to grow and develop, we need to do a little bit more with our mentorship. We do. But as going from just a 1-person organization, if you've ever been an entrepreneur, going from 1 to 5 and 5 to 10, these are growth spurts. And we're going through a growth spurt right now. So we're putting together all of these things so we're able to service our community appropriately.
And my next question for you is, what do you hope the cybersecurity industry starts doing better on?
Well,
that could be a long list. I totally understand. But let's go. Okay, what are the top 3 that come to mind?
No, I think, overall, technology and cybersecurity, diversity, equity, and inclusion will always be an issue until it's not. So I think, since I've been in this space, and it's been 25 plus years, we've always had a diversity, equity, and inclusion challenge. And we still, to this day, haven't really made as much progress as we would have liked to, or we should have made thus far in this space. The amount of unconscious bias, the amount of unequal pay, the amount of non-technically or non-important skills that are being utilized to preclude people or to prevent people from this field is just ridiculous. And I had a number in my head that 35% of all African-American women leave the profession. And we have to do something about that, because if women and minorities are leaving, we're not getting into diversity. We're not going to be able to solve the next gen problems. I mean, there are next gen problems, and, building out these algorithms for AI. And if you only get one type of person that's coding these algorithms, you're going to get a skewed view. And that has been proven time and time again. So I think that having diversity of thought, diversity, just not even color or, sex, we're talking age, we're talking religion, we're talking, whether they're, handicapped or whether they are, whatever. I think the more viewpoints that we get in this space, the better that we will be able to now service the overall community and not just a portion of it.
Hear to that. I think one of the things that was very apparent when just joining cybersecurity in general was like there was such a lack of diversity, like people of color, marginalized genders, and it's so disheartening. And I really hope things change.
It can be, but what I'm going to tell everybody, your listeners out there, is don't give up. If you leave, then it's going to stay this way. Yeah. And you just have to find some resolve, find some communities that you can reach out to that's going to help you and to give you advice. Don't isolate yourself and feel like you're going through this alone. Minorities in cybersecurity, we have a community of folks that we are trying to, or that we are addressing. And you can reach out to us, and you don't necessarily have to be a member to be embraced as part of the community. So please do feel free to reach out.
Absolutely love that, Mary. I mean, honestly, I know that the turnaround is usually really high in the first year because many don't know about groups such as MiC and other organizations that help marginalized folks in our community. And it's so needed because once you're not alone, doors open completely.
Absolutely. And I can tell you, I get calls all the time from recruiters and employers trying to find the talent. So you tap into those resources and to be able to say, okay, this is a place that we can go to actually have these hard conversations. I'm that, straightforward. Let's talk about it type of person. I'm not the person to shy away from the hard conversations. And if you need a voice to stand up and speak for you, I'll be more than happy to be that voice.
Absolutely love it, Mary. And then I would say the last question I have is around what can listeners do to help support MiC and its mission? What are some of those things? It could be a long list. I don't care. It just what do you need? What do you need so that we can deliver?
No, engagement. I think the biggest challenge that I have, that we have as a community, in the United States or global community, is our attention is being split in so many different ways. And sometimes it's hard to know where to spend that valuable time. And you're not going to get success or be successful if you don't engage in something. I mean, it's one thing to feel like you have to follow 15,000 people and hear what everyone else has to say. But at some particular point, you become that expert and you have something to say. So engage and be able to get involved. I mean, support, you can always donate. We have our MiC swag store. We have T-shirts and coffee cups and everything else, tank tops and all those things out there as well. Merchandise, MiC merchandise. And, it's just engage. And the more engagement you have, volunteer. Send me an email and say, hey, Mary, what do you need? How can I get engaged? This is the service that I'm offering. But please believe that this is a leadership organization. So if you come to me and say, how do I get involved? I'm going to ask you, what are you good at? So please be aware that when you come to the table, you're going to have to come to the table with something that you're passionate in, because this is an organization built on people that are passionate about what we're doing in our community.
Love it. Well, thank you, Mary, so much for being on the Changemaking podcast with me today. And everyone, for any details about MiC itself, it will be in the details below this episode. Thank you so much, Mary, for being on here. It was such a pleasure to learn about MiC and its journey and all the wonderful things that it's doing in the community.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Changemaking podcast with Chloé Messdaghi. If you learned something new and this podcast made you think, then share itspmagazine.com with your friends, family, and colleagues. If you represent a company and wish to associate your brand with our conversations, sponsor one or more of our podcast channels. We hope you will come back for more stories and follow us on our journey. You can always find us at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society.